Looking at your notes from yesterday, we got through really only about 2 pages of that first section. The first section from yesterday, safety and hazard recognition. In your books, it's on page 1 of module 1. The first thing we talked about in your notes was what? Safety is a learned behavior and attitude. What did we say about how safety is a learned behavior and attitude? What does that mean for us? Don't bring it to the workplace. What else? Practice. We don't just wake up and have a safe mindset, do we? No. It's something we have to learn how to do. We need to learn how, when we walk into the shop, that we grab the right safety glasses. These are clear safety glasses. Anytime you're working on metal, cutting metal, things like that, this helps keep things out of your eyes. You'll see that they go all the way around to the edge, cover the sides, so nothing can get in the top and the bottom or on the side. But if you're going to use that plasma cutter in there, or the cutting torch, it puts off a hot blue flame, right? Well, it's a bright light. So you need to know, because you don't know already, that you use these safety glasses instead of these. Same makeup, it's just a darker tint. But if nobody taught you that, if you weren't, if we didn't discuss it in this chapter, and you go to use that plasma cutter or go to use that cutting torch, then what happens to your nice little eyeballs? You get burned, right? So there's purposes for everything. Clear safety glasses, working in the shop, walking around the shop, being in the shop while other people are working, you get away with these. Dark ones are made for cutting. These are called cutting glasses for a reason. Anytime we're cutting with any type of torch, these are the ones you want to use. You don't want to use these welded. Don't trust these for welding. It's a different level of brightness there. Okay? We'll talk about the welding hoods as we go to it. So it's a learned behavior and it's a learned attitude. The next thing we discussed was safety culture. What was the definition of a safety culture? So a safety culture is created when all workers have the same mindset, right? A corporation we talked about as a business and as a business owner, if you're my employees, I've got to create the safety culture for you, right? We talked about briefings, safety meetings. I've got to be able to hold you accountable. And then the game changer that makes everybody motivated is what? Some type of incentive, right? So those are the foundations that I have to build my safety culture on in order to create that safe work environment. What does having a safety culture allow or not allow? Less turnover. What was turnover? When people quit or leave or have to be removed from the workplace because of safety-related incidents, right? We also talked about the difference of incidents and accidents on page 3. The difference between the incident and the accident was what, Greg? Good. So an incident is a near-miss accident, where it means that nobody was injured, but there was a possibility for somebody to be injured. And then accident is just the opposite. Somebody was injured, right? I almost got hit by the truck, incident. I did get hit by the truck, accident. Right? So on page 4, you see a pie chart at the top of the left-hand corner, right? What do you see inside that? What's in the blue section? Falls. What's in the orange section? Struck by. Green, called in, and then yellow, electrical. And what that pie chart shows you is the percentages of what the 4 major accidents or incident areas in the workplace that have the most high hazard areas in a workplace. The largest of the 4 being which one? Falls. Right? Now OSHA describes falls as anything that could be on the floor, could be on a solid surface, or from an elevated height. You could slip and fall, or you could fall of something. You got it? That's the number one reason accidents or incidents occurs in the workplace. Why? Because if you fall, usually you're going to be injured, and then eventually sued as a company. Right? The next one being struck by. What does struck by mean? What do you think struck by means? Okay, like if you're hit by something, something falls on you. It could be horizontally or vertically. Okay. What about caught in? Trapped in between something. If you get pinned in between something backing up and you're against the wall, not a good spot to be. Or if there's a piece of machine that rotates and you get caught in one of the pinch points, not a good place to be. And then electrical, which I told you I don't mess with at all, could be electrical shock or electrocution. What's electrocution mean? Electrocution is being killed by electrical, some type of electricity. Right? It's 4 in section 112. Cause much needless suffering. The National Safety Council estimates that the organized safety movement has saved more than 4.2 million lives since it began in 1913. Remember yesterday we were talking about the establishment of OSHA. It wasn't until accidents and incidents happened that we started having these safety meetings and safety briefings, and all this personal protective equipment came out onto the market, right? What until after the fact. So organizations like OSHA, organizations like the National Safety Council have been in large part credited with workplace safety, workplace practices, and then workplace rewards and awards for those organizations. James Machine Works right down the road. Now, when we go into that factory, it looks a lot like there's a poster inside the shop over here, but it talks about their SHARP program, which means that they were accredited for having a safe workplace environment for an X amount of days and at the highest level that OSHA sees fit. It's a great award. It helps for insurance. It helps for employment opportunities, for maintaining employees and keeping that turnover down. Under 120, incidents and accident causes, those list of bullets there. The first one, failure to communicate. When an incident or accident occurs on the job, it can often be attributed to one of the following causes. The first, failure to communicate. What does the lack of communication do in the sense of communicating with your worker, or your fellow worker, or your boss, or your supervisor, or whatever it might be when it comes to safety? What if McCarty and Greg are working in the shop together, and Greg's got the grinder, and he's about to start grinding, and he sees McCarty's going to be in the way. If Greg doesn't go and say, hey, look, I'm about to start grinding over here. These sparks and these molten pieces of metal are about to be flying. McCarty doesn't know. So what happens to McCarty? He gets burned, could get something in his eye, could have some type of incident or accident occur, right? Just from the lack of communication. Agree with that? From a supervisor position, if I'm the supervisor and this is our safety briefing, if I don't tell you specifically something that's coming in today, say we've got a certain product coming in, and I don't tell you what that product is and how to unload it, and what maybe there's certain type of chemicals that are associated with this product and you don't know about it, what does that lack of communication do when you go to unload it? Now, do you know what you're dealing with? You know how to properly handle it? You might not know that it's flammable or that it's acidic, right? Or that we need to store it in a certain area, otherwise it could be it can contaminate the workplace, right? So a lack of communication is one of the leading causes of incidents or accidents. Yellow letters, caution, white background, black squares, so on and so forth, right? So all those colors and all those patterns have a purpose, not just there for no reason. All right, flip over to page 8. Under 128 on page 8, section 128. You need to write this down. That first sentence says an unsafe condition is a physical state that is different from the acceptable, normal, or correct condition found on the job site. Under that paragraph, you see a long list of bullets. We're going to write down 5 of those bullets. The first one, congested workplace. What does that mean? What's a congested workplace? It's crowded. It's crowded. We could very well run into this in our shop, just from the size and the number of the class. What's the second bullet? Effective tools, equipment, or supplies. You go to use a tool, the guard's off of it. That's an issue. That's a problem. Don't use that tool. Let me know. Right? Or maybe the blade on these chop saws are dull and bad. They need to be replaced. What's the third one? Excessive noise. So a workplace that's too loud, we can't communicate. That's an unsafe condition. Skip down a couple of bullets, and it's inadequate supports or guards. This might be on the tools and equipment that you're using. Inadequate supports or guards. The last one is poor lighting. On page 9, starting 130, hazard recognition, evaluation, and control. In blue there on page 9, under hazard recognition, you see hazard communication standards. What HAZCOM is, it's a way for us to communicate as companies, producers, manufacturers, what it is, whatever that we're producing and sending and shipping. Every chemical that I ship has a sheet, but it communicates the dangers, the ingredients, how to handle, how to store, and on down a long list of stuff. Go over to page 10. You see job safety analysis and task safety analysis. Job safety analysis, the task at hand is broken down into its individual parts or steps, and then each step is analyzed for its potential hazards. So what this is if I'm in a manufacturing setting, I'm in a plant, I'm in some type of production facility, right? South Louisiana, we have a lot of those. If I'm working in one of those petroleum plants down there, I've got a product that just came in, whether by rail or by truck. I've got to get it off the truck and across the facility into the storage where we store this certain chemical, whatever it might be. Okay? Well, in order for me to do that safely, I have to start listing down my steps. What are my steps? What do I need to accomplish this task? Right? So if I fill out one of these job safety analyses, title of the job or task, I'm just going to put up transferring or transporting materials through the facility, through the plant. My first task is I have to get it unloaded. Right? Got to get it off the truck or off the train. I'll put the hazards associated with that. See, now I start to think. If I've got to remove this off of a truck or out of a train car, what hazards could be associated with it? And I'd fill that in. And under the control column would be anything I can control. Maybe it's a strap. Maybe it's a pallet. It's on pallets. Once it's off there, I've got to go to the next stage. Now, how do I transport it through the facility? How do I get it from where it is, where it needs to be safe? That'll be my second one. Fill that out. Again, starting in, my hazards associated with it. What could be my hazards? Well, if I've got to go through this facility, I need to know, I need to be able to warn people. It could tip, it could fall, it could cause some type of problem. The employees associated with it, so you'd fill one of these out beforehand. That way, me as a supervisor, when I come along, I can look at this sheet and say, okay, this is our plan. This is our plan of action. Right? And we can look it over and say, okay, that's a good plan, or maybe on this step we need to do this. Maybe instead of using that, we need to use this strap. Okay? So a job safety analysis just simply allows you to start to really think about your job before you ever execute it. Flip over to page 12, risk assessment. Under 1 through 3, the second sentence there says, risk is a measure of the probability consequences, and exposure related to an event. So in the example for our job safety analysis, the risk assessment would be, I'm going to look at all parts of that task I have to accomplish. And I'm going to assess what the probabilities, what's the consequences, what dangers are associated with this task. And if something were to happen, what would be the consequences? Right? See, if I know the consequences, then I know how to defeat or combat those when the time arrives, right? I know if there's a spill, what could happen. Well, if I know what could happen, I need to know how to fight it. I need to have a solution to a problem before it ever starts. So right there at your table, one of you write this down, and then y'all can talk about it and give you 3 minutes to look it over. Very simplified job analysis here. Job safety analysis fill out sheet. Okay? Here's your scenario. You're in a chemical plant. You're at Angus Chemical, right up there in Sterling. Okay? This is your scenario. You're in a chemical plant, Angus Chemical, whatever you want to call it. Right? You have to, chemicals that was just produced, you've got to get out of storage, transfer it into multiple containers, and then load it onto a truck. That's your job for the day. You've got an order coming in. So you're working at Angus. You've got to get a chemical that's stored. You've got to get it out of storage. You've got to get it and put it in multiple containers. And then you've got to load those containers onto a truck. That's your job for the day. I'm at Angus. I've got chemicals in storage. I've got to put those chemicals into multiple containers. I've got to take those containers and load them onto a truck. So looking on page 11 of that job safety analysis sheet, I'm going to start with my first task, which is first I got to get it out of storage safely. You can't lift it. You're going to need some type of forklift or some type of piece of equipment to move it from place to place. Right? So just out of those steps, start filling that out. So number one, my task is get it out of storage. How am I going to do that? What are the hazards associated with that? Right? Lifting, moving, transporting, whatever it might be. And then you work your way down until you load it up onto the truck. All right? I'll give you 3 minutes to do that. Talk it over, discuss, get some ideas, think about some hazards. Don't worry about that. What are hazards associated with each of these actions? I've got to get it out of storage. I've got to put it into multiple containers. It means I have to pour it, or dump it, or whatever. Then I've got to load each of those containers onto a truck. Just based on those topics, what would be hazards associated with them? What would be a risk assessment? All right, so how many of those steps do we have to fill out? 3? If I get more than 3? Average of 3? All right, so Brian, give me your first step. What's the first step? You got to get it out of the storage. So how are we going to get it out of storage safely? Pick it up with what? Your hands? We can't pick it up with our hands. It's too heavy. It's on a pallet. It's a 500-gallon tank. So we're going to use a forklift. Right? McCarty, what could be a danger of using a forklift? Okay, somebody could be injured by using the forklift if they're not paying attention. What else? The forklift could tip over if the weight's not distributed. What could be another hazard? We didn't load it right, so it tips over and spills. Now we have hazardous chemical pouring out. Not a good day, right? So that would be my first line. I've got to get it out of storage. Well, how do I get it out of storage? See how we walk through it? We go from, all right, I need a forklift. If I need a forklift, then these are dangers associated with the forklift. Somebody could be run over. Somebody could get pinched or caught in between something. The forklift could shift and tip. And the chemicals could spill out. What was our second one?
Place them in containers.
We got to place them into containers. So it's a hazardous chemical, okay? And we've got to put it into containers. Well, how do we go about doing that? There could be numerous ways of taking something out of one and putting it into the others. We could pour it. What else? We could drop it into where it could, maybe there's a valve at the bottom. Could lift it up and pour it out. What's another way? How do you get something out of a glass if you're not going to pour it out? It could be sucked out, right? Might have some type of hose if we can suck out the chemical and pour it into these containers, right? Then these hazards associated with each one of those steps. If I'm pouring it, then I got to know and be careful of what I'm pouring so I don't spill it. I might have to have a certain type of funnel or some type of equipment so we can get it into the container safely without spilling the chemical, right? If I'm going to lift it up and use it overhead, then I got to be aware of my surroundings. I got to figure out how to get it out of that bottom of that container safely. Or if I'm going to suck it out, I need to know that whoever's controlling that nozzle of shutting it off so I move to the other container understands and is aware of their surroundings, right? Once it's in those containers, what's my next step? Now I've got to load them each onto a truck, right? So I have multiple containers. How best do I attack that? How do I get it on the truck? Some type of lift. Forklift. Right? Could be an electric lift. Could be a lift that's on the truck. All you got to do is put it on the back of the truck, and that Tommy lift or that Tommy gate picks it up. And then we roll it onto the truck. What could be associated with loading something? What are risks there? That it could fall off. Again, weight could shift. Forklift could tip over. Something might be punctured through the process and start to leak. Maybe the containers that it's in is not sealed properly. So as you list those things on that job safety analysis, now you start to think, okay, well, here's some things that could go wrong. If those things can go wrong, then how best do I combat them, right? And that's the simplest way of filling out a job safety analysis if you have to do so. And then you would put your name at the bottom, whoever your coworkers you're working with, their names, everybody's associated, will have a date, everything's filled out and professional. That way I can pull it out of the file and say, hey, well, on this day we did this, this, and this. Or if something happens, we can pull out and say, well, why didn't we follow this step? Right? So that's how those things go about. We got that? Kind of makes a little bit of sense. That's a very simplified version. You get into the workplace, that thing's going to be filled out 6 or 7 steps. You're going to break down those 3 steps and maybe into 6 steps. really get technical and really get detailed in how you're going to go about this process. Now you're going to be specific. Now what type of personal protective equipment do I need to wear? So on and so forth. You got it? Any questions on those? You good on your notes? How many notes you got up to this point? 11, 12, 13. Some of you might have to put a bullet as a point, but it should be about 11 questions. That's where we're at. If you got a couple more, that's fine. We'll do our review as we go. Okay? Last couple minutes of class, and we'll show you this video. This video kind of sums up in a 3-minute video of a workplace training video. Okay? You can close your books, stack them up against the wall, close your notebooks, and then pay attention up here. Volume's not great, so bear with me. What that is, I'll take these videos, maybe the safety briefing for that day. We'll go over those safety practices. Again, that safety culture, that idea of a safe work environment, a safe mindset, all starts at the beginning of that shift, and it starts with that company themselves. You got it? So tomorrow we'll get into safety, or section 2 of this module. Start talking about PPE. All those different things that go into how to protect yourself when you're in that environment.